I have never felt as much fear looking at a corpse in my entire life as I did that day. This is my profession, digging graves and lowering bodies into the earth. Mostly John Does are buried here in this potter's field. I usually feel a deep pity for these bodies. The man spent his time on earth with us, and now, after death, no one came looking for him. Maybe this was just written in his fate. I think about these things as I bury them, but for this particular body, I felt no such emotion. Rather, I felt fear. Looking at the man's face, I guessed he would be 50, but there was an angry look on his face. I could not look at the corpse for too long. What kind of crime was this hideous man involved in that someone killed him like this? First, they severed the head from the body, then hacked the whole body with a machete or something similar and poured acid on it. No identity was found for this corpse, not even a missing person report in the city for the last 4 or 5 days. So the county morgue sent a notice to the authorities to bury the body after an autopsy. But what usually happens in these rural county hospitals happened here too, meaning they did a sloppy autopsy, stitched him up carelessly, and sent the body to the cemetery. I was the caretaker of the cemetery where these unclaimed bodies from the state hospital were buried. When the ambulance arrived today and left the body at the cemetery, I knew I had another John Doe to bury with care. But after seeing the body, that old sympathy didn't kick in. It was getting dark anyway, so I quickly called Billy to help me dig the grave, and the image of that severed head kept flashing before my eyes. The county hospital was so negligent that because it was an unclaimed body, they didn't even stitch the head back properly. On top of that, it had been lying in the morgue for 4 or 5 days. A terrible stench was coming from it. When Billy and I finished burying the body, the sun had already set. I went to shower off the grime, and since the work was done, Billy left too. Billy is a 10 or 12-year-old kid who helps me out. He stays until evening and then leaves, and then I'm all alone in the cemetery. I live in a one-room shack right next to the gate, facing the concrete slab where the coffins are placed for viewing. It is technically outside the gate, but practically I live inside the cemetery. It is a forgotten graveyard, after all, meant for unclaimed bodies, so this spot was chosen in a corner of the city, far from the residential areas. Cooking for one, so every night after dinner I sleep. Sometimes I come out and look at the cemetery. I feel like there's nothing to guard here. In big cities, bodies get stolen, but no one has heard of such things happening in this town. Still, since this is my job, before sleeping today, like always, I finished my meal, lit a cigarette, and looked towards the graves. Naturally, my eyes went to the fresh grave. It wasn't a trick of the eye. It clearly seemed like there was something at the head of the grave. I went closer and saw the dirt was dug up. What is the matter? Just 3 or 4 hours ago, Billy and I buried it neatly. We were a bit rushed compared to other days, but we didn't leave it like this. It was clear someone tried to dig the soil and even managed to dig some of it up. The next moment, I thought maybe a coyote got in through the gate and did this, so I patted the soil back down with my hands. But I didn't think for a second that I locked the gate with my own hands every day, so how could a coyote, let alone a human, enter the cemetery? I went into my room, locked the door, and went to sleep with a peaceful mind. I woke up with a terrible uneasiness. This never happens to me. Usually the night passes in one sleep.
Since I didn't have a watch, I didn't know what time it was. When I wake up, I never have this kind of feeling, but today, for some reason, I felt an urge to open the door and go outside. After opening the door and stepping out, a rotten, foul smell hit my nose. I looked around to find the source of the smell. In the clear moonlight, I saw it. There was something wrapped in a white sheet lying on the concrete slab where the bodies are staged for viewing, probably a corpse. You can understand I was brave. I used to guard graves. Not being afraid, I walked forward to get a good look. Just like how a body is placed on the slab for the funeral, a corpse was lying there exactly like that. Who brought a body this late at night? I started thinking, if someone brought it, why didn't they wake me up? Then I thought to get inside they would have to come through the gate, and I have the only key. Now a feeling of terror gripped me from all sides. I felt like my strength to walk was fading. Still, like a madman, I moved towards the corpse. When the sheet came undone, what I saw I was not at all prepared for. I felt like I was going to pass out. That face, which had been separated from the body, was now in front of me. How did the body I buried in the afternoon come here? A foul smell was pouring out of the acid-burnt, rotting body. Nothing was making sense to me. I was frozen in shock and fear. Suddenly, I felt like every corpse would rise now and lie in front of me like this, but nothing like that happened. The corpse lay motionless before me. I felt like my strength returned. Suddenly, the fear lifted from me. Without thinking how the body got out of the grave, I thought I would bury the body again. As soon as I thought this, I lifted the corpse onto my shoulder. I don't think I have ever carried such a heavy body in my life. I was struggling to handle the weight. A 4 or 5 day old corpse. As soon as I grabbed it tight, the body squished and twisted. It felt like the limbs would fall off right now. I didn't feel that the head was separated from the body, so as soon as I put the body on my shoulder, the head fell with a thud inside the cloth. I picked up the head with one hand, too. I walked towards the grave to place the body. As soon as I put the body in the grave and placed the head in the right spot, my eyes widened in horror. The corpse was staring at me with big yellow eyes, and it had grabbed my hand with one of its hands, and no one had the strength or power to break that grip. All the hair on my body stood up, and unable to take it anymore, I fainted. When I regained consciousness, I saw Billy leaning over my face. The little boy asked what happened last night and how the body from the fresh grave ended up on the viewing slab. Hearing this, I felt like I was going deaf. I myself had put the body back in the grave twice last night. I just couldn't cover it with soil. I'll tell you another day why I couldn't. I just said I won't work here anymore, and I left immediately. The cemetery authorities didn't dig too deep into these matters. They buried the body again and decided to hire a new guard. Finding no one that day, 2 brave youths from the neighborhood decided to guard the cemetery. They would guard as long as needed. Besides, they wanted to know the mystery of why that guard, meaning I, left. On that bright moonlit night, while peeking into the cemetery, I saw the buried corpse stick a hand out and with great difficulty shove the grave soil aside and stand up. Then slowly, very slowly, it walked towards the funeral viewing slab and quietly lay there. After seeing this, I couldn't stay there anymore. I ran to my own village home. Later, everything went back to normal. I didn't hear much news after that.
My name is Ethan Hunt, and I was born in a small town in Ohio. I am currently studying in my sophomore year at the Lincoln Memorial State College. If this story is selected, please let me know. If there are any unexpected mistakes in the writing, please forgive me. Without talking too much, I am getting into the story. It has been a long time since I met my friend Mike, so this time I went to the countryside and met him. We were sitting and chatting at a coffee shop. Both of us had coffee cups in our hands. We were having coffee and chatting. So while chatting, I said that I really like ghost stories. Then Mike said, I actually have one, because my grandfather was a paranormal investigator. He used to tell me many events. I can tell you one if you want. You know my grandfather. My grandfather always used to work as a demonologist. Everyone knew him as Father Arthur. One day, I was sitting with my grandfather and there was a power outage in the village. Then I asked Grandpa to tell me a ghost story. Then Grandpa told me exactly as I am telling you now. The incident surrounds an abandoned lake located at the edge of Ravenwood village named the Witch's Lake. For nearly a century, this lake was the main cause of terror for the villagers. It was rumored many years ago a tragic bride of the village landlord's house was forced to commit suicide in this lake after her husband's extreme betrayal. Her restless spirit still wanders there today. The black water of the lake always remained still, so that even the slightest breeze could not make a ripple. On dark, moonless nights, a bone-chilling crying sound would float up from the banks of the lake, and sometimes a blurry figure wearing a white dress with black borders could be seen. A brave young man of that village was Steve, the only son of Harry Peterson, who studied abroad. So maybe Steve was modern and reckless. He didn't care about these ghost stories. One day, he was hanging out with 4 or 5 of his friends. Suddenly, one of the friends, named Paul, brought up the story of this lake. Then friend Paul said, "You guys know we have that witch's lake, right? That lake over there where a bride committed suicide. That lake has reportedly started acting up again. Terrible sounds are heard." Hearing this, Steve burst out laughing. Laughing, he said, "What are you guys saying? In this modern age, no one believes these things." Then Paul said, "If you have guts, go and see for yourself once. You can even make a bet with friends on this." On a dark, moonless night, he set off for the lake with a flashlight in hand. He reached the lake bank around 1 o'clock in the morning. At first, he didn't hear anything. It all seemed like made-up talk to him. But suddenly, a faint sound came to his ears. It seemed like someone was crying in a very enchanting voice, and the crying seemed to be coming from a nearby old oak tree. When he shined the flashlight on the oak tree, he almost fainted, seeing a figure floating in the air coming from the tree. He then realized, this is that witch. That lady in white whispered a question to him, saying, "I was waiting for you. You laughed, didn't you?" And then, thud, she fell onto his neck and scratched him with her claws. Steve wanted very much to pass out, but still, for some reason, he couldn't pass out. He felt like his life was about to leave his body. It seemed like the witch was hugging him tightly from all sides. He desperately wanted to run home, but couldn't move a single inch. Suddenly, the sound of church bells floated in, and he realized that it was time, and dawn had broken. Anyway, as soon as the bells rang, the figure vanished into thin air, and Steve couldn't hold himself anymore. He ran back home, and as soon as he reached the backyard, he screamed and fainted. He doesn't remember anything after that. The next morning, when asked what happened to him, he opened up about these events. Then his mother told him, "We were sleeping in the morning. Suddenly, I felt like you screamed loudly and called me. I rushed outside to the backyard and saw you lying unconscious. Then, seeing this scene, I called everyone loudly. Everyone together carried you and laid you on the bed. Today, after 3 days, you regained consciousness." Steve seemed unable to understand anything, how days passed by. He only remembered this much, that he saw a woman in his dream telling him, "I won't let you go so easily." He doesn't remember anything else. Anyway, later it was heard that he was sick for a long time and suffering from illness. He eventually died. After Steve's death, terror started anew across the village. Then, the respected elder of the village, Mayor Collins, advised, "This torment won't leave us so easily. It seems something needs to be done. We need someone who can give peace to the restless soul, not just with power, but with faith and compassion. Someone who can save us from this." According to Mayor Collins's words, a respected exorcist was brought from far away. His name was Arthur, who didn't just do rituals or treatments. He was known for his deep spiritual knowledge and empathy. He hadn't failed in any treatment till today. Yes, I was that exorcist, Arthur. Mayor Collins said to the exorcist, meaning me, "Father Arthur, the lake of our village is a huge cause of fear for us. We don't know when whose life will go. Before this, many lives were lost too. Last moonless night, a boy named Steve was in a critical condition. Somehow he reached home, but after this, I said, I understood the matter. I will do what needs to be done on the next moonless night. In the meantime, I am keeping track of what is actually happening here." I looked at the environment of the lake for a while and remained silent. Then I told them, "This soul is struggling for peace. She cannot be driven away by force. She has to be shown the path to liberation." On the next moonless night, I went to the bank of the lake. I took with me only a prayer rug, and in my hand was the Holy Bible. Without taking shelter in fear or dark magic, I sat quietly on the rug and started praying to God. When that intense crying sound floated in, I stopped praying and addressed her in a calm voice, saying, "Mother, the heinous betrayal your husband did to you has been revealed to me. Let me tell you one thing here. I learned about these events through some of my powerful guardian angels." I said again, "He took all the wealth of your father's house in his name with false promises of love. He left you in this desolate place and married another rich woman. With no other path open to you, you committed suicide in this lake. This betrayal took your life." I heard a piercing scream, and a figure came in front of me. She seemed to be trembling in pain. Without bowing my head, I brought compassion into my eyes and said, "Your husband died many years ago. He is suffering the consequences of his deeds. Your vengeance cannot touch him, but it has kept your own liberation trapped. In the scriptures it is said that there is peace in forgiveness. The injustice done to you will be judged in a court greater than this world. Break this chain of revenge. Let your soul find salvation." This time I started reciting verses from the Holy Bible. In every verse there was a message of peace, patience, and forgiveness. Not a spell, but that powerful sound of faith and love. When it echoed around the lake, a miraculous scene was seen. 2 drops of tears seemed to roll down from the corner of her eyes. The figure quickly faded away. The moment she became invisible, it felt as if a gentle, cool breeze touched me. In that breeze was hidden a silent gratitude. I stood up and said, "Hallelujah! She is liberated. The lake is now curse-free." The next morning it was seen that the water of the lake was clear and pure. That terrible darkness or mossy smell is no more. The people of the village changed the name of that lake. It remained the Witch's Lake no more. Rather, it became known as Lake Arthur. From that day, the people of the village found peace, not fear. Grandpa told me the power of forgiveness is much more than vengeance, and with that power, a whole village was liberated from an ancient curse. This was my story. I hope you liked it. I don't know how scary it is, but I left believing or not believing completely up to the audience. That's all for today. Goodbye." Saying this, he finished his story. I hope you liked the story. If you liked it, then definitely let us know.